And welcome, sports fans, to today's Roundtable. Glad you joined us today. We've got a great show lined up for you. We got a lot of high school basketball to recap from the last few nights as district championships have been decided for classes 1 through 3 for all boys and girls, and only classes 4 and 5 yet to go this next week, actually getting underway today throughout the area. So a lot to get to regarding these district tournaments that took place this week. Classes 1 through 3. We'll go over the games that we had the past few nights here on YHC and CMOSportZone.com. And we got a highlight as well to show last night's game between Bemie and South Pem. And also we're going to touch on the upcoming district games coming up this week, classes 4 and 5. And then we'll be heading into state tournament games for the state of Missouri. Very exciting time in high school basketball at this time. And also we've got special guests in with us today. We've got Trevor Waldner, the Dexter wrestler who won the state championship in Class 2 at the 138-pound division. He's in the studio with us today, as well as James Sneed, the wrestling coach for the Dexter Bearcats, and a great year for the wrestling program here in Dexter. They're in studio with us today to talk about their fine season and the state championship run for Trevor Waldner. So we appreciate them having them in today. We'll have them on momentarily about their wrestling season, so don't go away. So a lot to get to today, and glad you joined us for this Saturday's Roundtable. And let's go ahead and get on to the games that took place over the last few evenings in Southeast Missouri basketball. And starting out with just a few regular season games that took place the last few nights. Last night, Cape Central defeated Dexter 57-39. That was a regular season game, the last regular season game for both of those teams, as they will enter into district play this next week. Also, Saxony over DeSoto, that was Thursday night, 69-38. Notre Dame over DeSmet, 76-59. That also taking place Thursday evening. And taking a look at the district games that took place over the last few evenings, and last night in a game that we brought to you live here on YHC and online, CMOSportZone.com, it was South Pemiscot over Bemie, 63-36, and a comfortable victory for the South Pemiscot Bulldogs. They avenged the loss last year to the Bemie Mules in the same district championship game, and South Pemiscot didn't even make it close in this one, really pulling away late in the second half. They dominated the second half, pulled away with the district championship, and we got some footage from that game last night, taking a look at that. Pretty close game throughout the first half. I think it was only a 1-point game at half, but we see here early on, Antonio Primer, a great move, had a great contest in this game. B.J. Jennings on the drive for the Mules, a nice finish there in the first quarter. And we got a three-pointer of South Pem along the left side, shot the ball really well from the outside, did the Bulldogs. And now another three-pointer up by B.J. Jennings, gets it to fall. And into the second half now, a nice little run and jumper up there, finished off for the Bulldogs. And this is just the kind of the game it went. South Pemiscot saved their own possession and ended up in the hands of Jacob Trammell knocking down the three, and then Antonio Primer having his way here on the way to the basket, gets it up and in, and that's when South Pemiscot was on the run there in the fourth quarter. And it was about a 14-15 point game there in the fourth quarter. Bemie was in desperation mode, trying to get some threes to fall, quick baskets, weren't able to do so, and then South Pemiscot just really executed well in the fourth quarter to push that into a 20-plus victory, end up being 27-point victory for the South Pemiscot Bulldogs. So very impressive performance by the South Pemiscot Bulldogs. They move into the Class 2 state tournament, into the sectional round. That's the round of 16 for the Class 2 state tournament, and they'll take on Thayers. We'll get into their result coming up. So good luck to those South Pemiscot Bulldogs going forward. Another fine season by the Bemie Mules, making all the way to the district championship. Had a lot of adversity this year with injuries, kids in and out, and just another great season for the Bemie Mules. Just happened to come up short last night. And in other games from last night, the girls' Class 2 District 1 finals. It was South Pemiscot over Hayti, 75-36. And what a show that Carrie Shepard put on. I believe she had 47 points. It's one of those two. in that contest last night, and what a talent she is, and showed to be last night in that district final. South Pemiscot moves on to the state tournament in Class 2. Now in the boys Class 1 District 1 finals from Thursday night, and that game we brought to you live from Risco. It was Clarkton over Risco, 82-73. Big win for the Clarkton Reindeer. Both those two teams split 2 games earlier in the year, and Clarkton got the rubber match for the district title, and Clarkton advances to the Class 1 state tournament as they'll take on Scott County Central. So that matches up to be a very entertaining Class 1 sectional taking place this next Tuesday night, and we'll bring that one live to you from Bloomfield this coming Tuesday evening. And in other games from Thursday night in the Class 1 District 2 final, it was Scott County Central over Leopold, 64-62. Very close game between those two teams. They matched up in the district championship once again this year as they did last year, and Scott County pulled out a very narrow victory over Leopold. They advanced back into the state sectional round in Class 1. And the boys Class 2 District 2 finals, Thayer over Winona, no problem, 64-43. As we mentioned earlier, Thayer will take on South Pemiscot in that Class 2 sectional. And the boys Class 2 District 3 finals, advance, pulling off somewhat of an upset there over Oran, the 3 seed over the first seed, 88-79. The Advance Hornets advance with that district championship into the Class 2 state tournament. And into the round of 16 are the Advance Hornets. And the Class 3 District 1 finals from Malden Thursday night. It was Charleston over Caruthersville, 71-65. Very close game between those two. Much different than the earlier game in the year, where Charleston defeated Caruthersville up around 16, 18 points. So a much closer game this time around, and Charleston comes away with its 4th straight district championship there in Class 3 District 1. Now in the Class 3 District 2 finals, Clearwater defeated West County 49-43. And that's an impressive victory for Clearwater. And they'll move out to play Charleston in that Class 3 sectional, which will bring this Wednesday night live from the Bearcat Event Center here in Dexter. So you can look forward to that next Wednesday night as well. And girls Class 1 District 1 finals from Risco Thursday night. Naylor, no problem over Koshkonong, 47-14. Naylor moves on out to the Class 1 sectional. And the girls Class 1 District 2 finals, Scott County Central over Delta, 56-32. And girls Class 2 District 2 finals, Neelyville over Greenville, 70-55. Neelyville advances out to the Class 2 sectional. And Class 2 District 3 for the girls, Oran over Bismarck, 58-54. And girls Class 3 District 1 going into overtime. This game was, and Twin Rivers, the 2 seed, defeated Doniphan, the top seed, 73-65. Twin Rivers advances to the Class 3 sectional once again, as they will take on Saxony Lutheran, who won the Class 3 District 2 final. As we move on to the Class 3 District 2 final, Saxony Lutheran defeated Arcadia Valley 63-45. So Twin Rivers matches up with Saxony Lutheran once again in that Class 3 sectional. And those are the games from the past few evenings, and a very exciting time in high school basketball at this time, as these teams will move on to the round of 16 into sectional play, classes 1 through 3. We still got classes 4 and 5 yet to be played this coming week. So very exciting to see who's going to be advancing from Southeast Missouri in state tournament play. And we're going to talk more about high school basketball coming up in a few moments. We got Travis Quertermous in to break down these games and the Class 4 and 5 district games coming up. So stick around for that. We're going to bring basketball back in just a few more segments. But coming up next, we're going to bring on Trevor Waldner, the high school wrestling state champion in the 138-pound class for Class 2, coming off the state championship last weekend. And Dexter wrestling coach James Sneed along with us as well. Talk about their fine wrestling season here in Dexter, so don't go away. We'll have them up next.
Welcome to NFL Total Access.
The show that takes you inside the locker room and down on the field. With inside access to all 32 teams all year long. NFL Total Access, Monday through Saturday, only on NFL Network.
NFL Network, where football season never ends.
I chose Three Rivers College. Caring staff made it easy to enroll. I'm receiving affordable, quality college classes. Day, evening, and online classes let me work college into my schedule.
With locations throughout Southeast Missouri and over 200 course offerings, including online courses, Three Rivers can help you earn a college or career technical degree.
I chose Three Rivers College. You should too.
Enroll today. Learn more at trcc.edu. Three Rivers College. Success starts here.
First Midwest Bank Gold Club offers special privileges for our friends who are age 50 or better and have combined deposits of $5,000. Members enjoy trips, cruises, seminars, and picnics along with free personalized bank services. Upcoming trips include Journey Through the Holy Land, Yellowstone in winter, Classic Ireland, and Hawaiian Paradise Cruise. Stop by any First Midwest Bank location to sign up for the Gold Club. It's absolutely free. First Midwest Bank, providing common sense financial solutions every day.
And we're back, and we're along with Dexter Wrestler State Champion Trevor Waldner and Dexter Wrestling Coach James Sneed. And guys, welcome in today. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
I know, a great year for the wrestling program. As of course we got the state champion here representing the Dexter Wrestling Bearcats, and James, 10 wrestlers going to the state championships, competing in the state championships this year. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's the most ever sent.
I believe so. Yes, sent 10 this year. We took 7 last year, but had a really good year.
Sure. It's pretty much a banner year for the program, sending 10 wrestlers. And Trevor, of course, coming off the state championship, you've got to be feeling great about your season. And you've had a great career in high school wrestling. As you see here, you got all the accolades to show for it here on your Letterman jacket. So very impressive year. And you got close last year in the state championship. So maybe just talk a little bit about how you did last year coming into this year.
Last year I took 4th at 132. I lost to the kid I beat this year in the semis, 3-1 last year, and then wasn't able to win my 3rd place match, but I felt like I was more confident this year about it, though. So.
Sure. So did you feel real confident that you could get back and compete in the state championships again this year?
Yeah, especially since we've seen a lot of these kids in prior tournaments that we went to this year.
Okay, so you played, like you said, you competed at 132 last year, 138 this year. Is that just a natural progression to go up in weight as your season, or as your
for me it was
develops?
at least.
Yeah. So did you have any concerns about wrestling up in weight?
Well, I started the season about 152, and I got down to about 143, and I didn't really want to stay at 45, so I just went ahead and made the push to 138. I felt like I would have been a lot stronger, which I was. So.
Yeah. So you competed a lot better at that weight.
Yes.
And we talked before you came on that you played football, played running back and linebacker?
Outside backer. Yes,
so playing, 138-pound linebacker, hey, well, you're up at 152 and dropped the weight a little bit. Is that pretty hard to do that as the season went?
This year I actually started about 2-3 weeks earlier and started running, so I could try to get it down before, that way I wouldn't have to really, I guess, starve myself. But
so, all right, then we'll talk about your season this year. You only had maybe 2 or 3 losses on the year?
3
losses. So what were the losses that you took this year?
Our first tournament, we went to Harrisonville in Kansas City, and I lost to the Class 1 132 state champ 7-1. He was pretty strong. At our St. John duels, I lost to Fulton, who ended up taking 6 this year. I lost to him 3-1 in overtime. And I lost to Jackson's 145-pounder at SEMO Conference in double overtime. So.
Okay. So, well, that's pretty nice when you can go over your losses in just a matter of seconds. So,
yeah.
So what was your final record end up being?
40-3.
40-3. That's great. And James, Trevor, you knew he's going to have a great year coming in. So what was your outlook as coach on his season coming in and competing for an eventual state championship?
We felt pretty confident that, we could get back to that level. I told him last year at our awards banquet that he was going to be in the finals, and that's kind of what we placed this season on. All of our goals we're going to get to that level. And Trevor, he's a hard worker. He led the room, and he accomplished his goals, and I'm very proud of him for that. So.
Certainly. And on your road to state this year, let's talk about your state championship run there. Had to win 4 matches to win it all, is that correct?
Yes.
And let's just talk about each one of those matches as you came in.
All right. First round, I had a opponent from Mexico. He ended up taking 4th at a different districts. Since I was number 1 in my district, I had to wrestle him. I pinned him in the first. Second, my quarterfinals, I had a kid I beat last year who ended up taking 6th last year, but I beat him 7-2.
Yes.
And then my semifinals was John Williams. He was the 2-time state runner-up who beat me last year in the semis 3-1, and I ended up beating him 3-2. So that was probably the match I was most pumped after. And then my finals, I ended up winning 6-4.
Okay, and who'd you face in the finals?
Nolan
Bratton
from Pleasant Hill.
Okay, so did you have anything? Were you familiar with the opponent coming into the finals?
We seen him wrestle at Harrisonville a little bit. I knew if I actually competed, I would hang with him, but I've never wrestled him before, so.
Now, James, what was your outlook as a coach looking at that match?
We were just concentrating on that semifinal match first off. John Williams, he was a 2-time runner-up, and the kid is deceptive. He likes to score early and then just kind of stall out matches, and our game plan was to get the first takedown and put the pressure on him, and Trevor was able to get the first takedown, and then we won the coin toss and went down in the second period and got escape, so we're up 3-0. I felt pretty confident then that we were going to be okay, and Trevor did what he had to there. And going into the finals match, we're kind of on the same objective: score first, and put the pressure on them. The kid he beat, he was a finalist last year as a freshman, so we knew he was a quality opponent, but no one's been able to turn Trevor all year, to his back except one kid, and so we felt like if we could get an early lead and just, wrestle his kind of match. Trevor, he's been around a while. He knows how to wrestle and just get enough of a lead and just do enough where they don't hit you with stalling and stuff. So that really puts a lot of pressure on that other kid when you're up. So he wrestled smart. Got a little sloppy at the end, but it all worked out for us.
And competing in a state championship match, did you have the nerves? Did you have that nervousness going in?
I did, but I was ready for it. Ever since freshman year, watching them, because I think that's the best state finals to be in, because it's the Mizzou Arena is just packed, and they turn the lights down, and they just have like the white lights going around, and you come out to rock music, and it's really cool.
Oh, that's great. Turn out the lights and just have a little spotlight on.
Yeah,
them.
and like circle
There's
spotlights.
a lot of them, like 3 or 4 going everywhere, and
Wow.
it's really nice.
Cool. At least they build that experience up for you. That's great. Yeah. And James, I know you probably had to have the nerves as well, just watching out of control, but just trying to coach him through it all. So how was that experience for you?
It was hard, I'm a pretty quiet guy, but I get excited at those matches. And Coach Boyer, he's real exciteful, and I just keep him calm. But Trevor did something that no one has done at Dexter since 1982. He's the only second state champion, and so we just kept it together for that.
That's great. And to win that final match, of course, there's only one person in each division that's going to win their last match, and you were the one. So everyone else is disappointed, and you're living it up. So that's great. And we talked about the season this year, and did it make any difference that you had so many up there with you, so many teammates to back you up there?
It's always nice to have a bunch of people go. You just feel more as a team, like going up there, and yeah, I guess so. I mean,
because I can imagine if you were the lone guy going up for your team, and you're just up there all alone with your coaches, and just don't really have that that support group there with you to it actually watch the other guys wrestle too, and get them going. It just gets the it just gets the enthusiasm built up. So it was probably good to see 9 other guys there with you.
Yeah, because state's a 3-day thing if you make it all the way through, and everybody wants to make it for the 3 days. I mean, or have a teammate to make it to get to enjoy that experience because it's a fun one.
Sure. And James, maybe talk about the other guys that competed up there as well.
We took 10 qualifiers. Brandon Toomey at 112. Gavin White at 120. They both went 2 and out, but they competed the first time there. Anytime we take a kid up there for the first time, we figure they're going to lose, 2 and out, but you got to go there first, and that they made the first step. Then we had Storm Massey's a sophomore. This was his second trip, and he actually won a match. So that we take that to the next level. So hopefully he's got 2 more years. Then when Trevor won it. Ethan Stevens, another sophomore, he made it all the way to the bubble match, and he lost 6-4 to a kid. So if he would have won that match, he would have placed in the top 6, somewhere between 3rd and 6th, depending on how he would have done. So he had a good tournament. Dill Mazarian, he was 2-time district champion. Then Michael Hurst, another sophomore, first time going. He's getting better every time we wrestle. Jason Madison, a junior, made it. Jared Dill, a sophomore. He's new to Dexter. He came from Potosi. This is his first year in the program, and I really felt like he improved a lot because we do things a little bit different here than a lot of people. And then we got Cameron at heavyweight. Didn't win a match this year, but he lost his first match 1-0 to a kid from Monette that went ahead, and I think he placed 6th. So Cameron, he's right on the cusp. He's just he's kind of at a disadvantage in our room because we don't have many big kids that want to wrestle, and he doesn't really have anyone. And so
doesn't have that practice.
He doesn't have a good practice partner. Whereas Trevor, he had Storm Massey that run at him every day, and then we would send Ethan and Dylan, and we'd send every kid we could at Trevor, just to get him in that.
I mean, Cameron, you got to throw 2 or 3 guys.
Yeah, exactly.
That's Cameron Kraft, right?
Cameron Kraft, yes, big kid, and he's a good kid. Just we don't know what makes Cameron tick on the inside. So if we could ever tap that, we'd have something.
Yeah. So great season for the wrestling Bearcats this year, and Trevor, you're a senior. So what's your plans after high school?
I plan on going to the Army. I ship September 15th. So.
Really? All right. So. Going right into the Army, got your plans all set.
Yep.
Then. So you got to be feeling good about going in. Very confident. Your senior year, there's not much more that you can do. You play a spring sport?
I do not.
You don't? So you're
flying
high now. All that's left is graduation, and you're ready to go. So that's great that you can go out with a victory and that's it. That's going out on the high note, as they say. So we're proud for you, and I know the whole community's proud of you and what you've done, and for the wrestling team as well. Sending 10 all the way up to state championships. That's great, and hopefully you got some young kids, you say there, that'll come back and make a run next year.
Yeah, we got some young kids in the program, and we got some middle school kids that are going to be up next year, and then we got some other kids that have been wrestling in our youth program that are going to be in the middle school program next year. So I think the future looks bright for Dexter Wrestling, and I just appreciate all the our administration for finally letting us travel some more and seeing what it actually takes to compete at the level that our kids are attaining now.
Sure, it did seem like y'all traveled quite a bit more this year.
There's only like 5 schools in southeast Missouri that wrestle, so if you want to see the competition that you need, you have to go to St. Louis or to Kansas City, and they're letting us do that more, so we really appreciate that.
Good deal. And a great year for the Dexter Wrestling program. Congratulations to both of you on a great year, and good luck with everything going forward. Look forward to seeing how everything develops from here, from year on and year out with Dexter Wrestling. Anything else y'all like to share about anyone out there? Just anything about the year in particular?
Not really for me. I'd just like to thanks for everyone's support and thank Trevor for all of his hard work and the 4 years that he's gave us.
Sure. And good luck with everything going forward, guys. And we appreciate y'all coming in and sharing your season with us. And Trevor, good luck with everything going forward after school, and James with the wrestling program, and we look forward to having more people up in here to talk about the great wrestling team here in Dexter. So thank you all again, and we'll see you down the road.
Thanks for having us. Thank you, sir.
And we're going to take a break and be back with more coming up.
It's the small things in life that you tend to appreciate. The quality of care at SEMO Health Network is no different. They focus on the small details with healthcare that make you feel good, so you can get back to enjoying the small things in no time. They have so many ways to take care of you with 8 locations serving rural communities in need of medical care, including dental facilities and an in-house laboratory.
You'll feel good about this. SEMO Health Network.
What is your emergency? Need assistance at County Road 61 and Highway 9. Help is on its way.
Clear! There's a better way to jumpstart your soil back to health. Apply Endzone to protect and increase nitrogen efficiency without killing bacteria. Apply Prevent to increase phosphorus availability and reduce fixation. Better yet, use them both to get more from your fertilizer investment and see higher potential yields. Ag Explorer, your prescription for healthy soil.
And we're back, and we're along with Travis Quertermous. We're going to talk some high school basketball. Before we go into that, Travis, you're along with the Dexter wrestling program, and you've got sons that's played, and you're really into the program. And what do you have to say about those two guys coming up here?
Well, Coach Sneed has done a great job taking over for Coach Rick Schwab, and I was talking to Coach Sneed before the segment, and he talked about when Coach Schwab came on board a few years ago, and they had like 9 kids in the program. And this year they had close to 40 wrestlers, junior varsity and varsity. And so Coach Sneed was Coach Schwab's assistant, and then after Coach Schwab left, he stepped in. He's done a great job. He's continued to build the program up, and they've just taken more steps every year here in Dexter, trying to get up to that elite status. You know, Jackson is sort of sets the bar in Southeast Missouri as far as wrestling programs go, and they were undefeated this year. And brought home 3 state medalists themselves, not state champions, but state medalists. So, but they're getting there. They're getting there, and they're building a great program. And Trevor, of course, winning a state championship is proof of that. 10 state qualifiers this year, most ever. So my son Logan was one of the 7 that went last year. My youngest son Brandon lost his bubble match, or he would have been the 11th Dexter Bearcat up there at Columbia this year. So just a great program, and they're doing a great job with it. And this year in Southeast Missouri in general, Coach Schwab mentioned there's only 5 or 6 schools in all of Southeast Missouri that offer wrestling. That's a real shame because it's a great sport. With the exception of Cape Central, though, all of those schools sent multiple wrestlers to state this year. So we've got a lot of talent here in Southeast Missouri in our wrestling programs, and Jackson always does well. St. Genevieve, I believe, had 4 medalists, including the second place finisher. St. Genevieve had a couple of kids that won medals as well. And Farmington had 4, and including, I think, a second place finisher. So a lot of medals that came home this year to Southeast Missouri State or Southeast Missouri schools. So just a great season in wrestling this year in general for Southeast Missouri.
Certainly, and when you can have somebody win a state championship in the program, that just motivates everyone else to duplicate that.
You
so
bet.
That's great for the program.
It really motivates everybody to want to work harder, go to a good camp over the summer, and try to grab that brass ring yourself. He mentioned we had a couple of other wrestlers that also did well, fell just a little short, but they're underclassmen. They're going to get several more opportunities to go up to Columbia and bring home a medal.
Certainly. And very, very exciting for Trevor Waldner and the Dexter Wrestling program. And Travis, we had some big games this week, high school basketball, including the one we had last night, Bernie and South Pemiscot for that Class 2 District 1 final. And I expected a very close game, much like last year.
Right.
Coming down to the
Rematch.
end, a rematch of the district title from last year, but it wasn't the case. South Pem really came and executed their game plan offensively, defensively, and pulled away with a comfortable victory in the second half.
Well, the first half, it looked like we were going to get another barn burner. South Pem took a 1-point lead into halftime. Bemie did something I have never seen a coach botch team do, and that was go to a zone defense. But it really worked for them in the second quarter. In the first quarter, South Pemiscot was getting good penetration off of Bemie's man-to-man defense, getting a lot of easy baskets around the rim. Coach Botch really threw South Pem for a loop there in the second quarter. When he went to that zone, South Pem scored 6 points in the second quarter, and Bemie was right back in the game. But boy, South Pem, whatever adjustments Coach Bidwell made at halftime, it really worked because they just seemed like everything they threw up was going in.
Yeah, it
they were just
was.
really hitting on all cylinders in the second half.
Yeah, we saw here in the last half of the year, Bemie has played a little bit more zone. They've mixed it up some. They throw different looks. Their personnel's changed with Caleb Willenberg going out.
That was a big loss.
And they've had to switch up, especially with teams that've got a strong front court. So we saw against Hayti, they played a lot of zone. Against South Pem, they went to a zone. Antonio Primer, really tough underneath.
He had a great game last night.
Logan Carter's got some strength underneath, so they've thrown in some zone to give some different looks because their personnel probably dictates that. And it was a close game. It was only a 1-point game at half. I can't remember which team was up at half, but it was a 1-point game at half.
South Pem had a 1-point lead.
1-point lead for South Pem. And in the second half, South Pemiscot really pressured Bemie defensively, man-to-man.
They played a great defensive ball game.
Yeah, and Bemie had a few looks. I remember one possession. Bemie had 4 wide-open three-pointer looks and couldn't get one to go down.
Yep.
That was the top of night for the Bemie Mules.
The article I read last night after the game said Bemie only shot 30% from the field for the game, and you could just see it. I mean, they just couldn't buy a basket there at one point in the third quarter. Where South Pem really opened up that 20-point lead there, maybe early in the fourth quarter. But great game by South Pemiscot, and congratulations to them and to Coach Bidwell. Clean sweep for South Pem last night. The girls, South Pemiscot girls, won the district championship as well.
And Terry Shepard had 45 points.
Yeah, there's a reason why she's going to Mizzou. She's quite a ball player.
Yeah, it certainly is. So great night for the South Pemiscot basketball teams. They're going to advance out into the state tournament in Class 2, and South Pemiscot's going to go up against Thayer in that Class 2 sectional. It's going to take place at Three Rivers next Wednesday night. I believe that's next Wednesday night over there in Three Rivers, and it's going to be 2 physical teams. They are pretty much a physical team, a ball control physical team. They don't really get up and down the court very quickly, but
different style of play when you get out a little more into the western part of the state. They like to slow it down, control the tempo, bang it inside. Thayer's got some size inside. They'll have an advantage there on South Pem, but South Pem will definitely have the speed advantage, and I'm sure Coach Bidwell's going to want to pick it up. But Thayer's a very good ball team. They're ranked in the top 10, and pretty much have been all year. I think they've only got 3 losses on the season. So it's going to be a tall order for South Pemiscot, but they certainly have the talent. They're very well balanced. They're very well coached. They play such good defense, and when you play good defense, you always have a chance to win.
Certainly. And we talked about South Pemiscot earlier this year, probably in the first 3 to 4 weeks leading up to the Christmas tournament, that they were the team slow out the gate. We really expected them to start the season off great with a season they ended up with last year. Had a lot of those kids back, and this is one of those teams you thought that was underperforming at around Christmas time, and they really stepped it up at Christmas tournament. They got out to the semifinals, took Kennett all the way to the wire.
Yes,
the semifinals. It seemed like at that point on, they really came alive in the second half of the season.
Well, they really, and that's where that was my first look at them, and I was really impressed. And then, of course, they went on and beat Hayti and took 3rd place there in the Christmas tournament. So they came out and played great defense, that boxing 1 defense on Cavante Mitchell of Kennett, and probably held him to a season low in terms of points. So right then you saw that this was going to be a special ball team. And as the season went along, they continued to play at a higher and higher level. And getting Logan Carter back from injury early on, I think, was a key. He gave them a little bit more of an inside presence to go along with Primer. But they're so balanced. There's no really one guy you can just go out and say, well, now we're going to take him away and make someone else beat us. Because whether it's Primer or Carter or Trammell or the Johnsons, Glenn or Contrail, they've just got so many weapons that can beat you from so many different ways. They shoot the ball inside, outside, great defense, great coaching. They just have the total package.
Yeah, that's what really showed last night, that they can shoot the ball from the outside. They got 2 or 3 of the Johnsons, and Trammell can knock it down efficiently. They don't shoot a whole lot from the outside, but when they do, they seem to execute the three-pointer quite well. And they're pretty tough underneath with Primer. He's inside-outside threat. He can handle the ball,
Absolutely.
He can drive, and he can post up. And you got Logan Carter in there with the rebounding threat and the scoring threat underneath for them as well. So very balanced team to go forward, and that's what you want at this time of the year, because there's a lot of preparation that goes into these games. These coaches like to game plan, and they'll take away some of the threats you have. So if you're a balanced team like that bodes well going forward into state tournament play.
Well, when you check the box scores on the South Pemiscot game, there's usually always at least 3 guys in double figures. And that's what you like to see as a coach. Plus, again, they're good free throw shooters too. We saw that on display last night against Bemie when Bemie had to go to the foul game. Well, that didn't help them because there was South Pem knocking down their free throws. So there's just really no weakness in their game. You just have to be better than they are. Yeah. And the teams that have beat them this year have just, like Carruthersville, for example, have just had better athletes, just been a better team. So they're going to give Thayer all they can handle. Wouldn't surprise me at all to see them win that sectional game.
Certainly. So there you go. Thayer and South Pemiscot in that Class 2 sectional Wednesday at Three Rivers College. That'll be a 7:45 start.
I believe 7:45
that's
right,
start.
yes.
South Pemiscot girls will play at 6 o'clock. South Pemiscot will take on, trying to think who the Class 2 District 2 girls winner was.
I can't think of it either.
We'll get to it in a moment. We'll get to the brackets. We'll get to all that. Anyways, let's go back to Thursday night. We had plenty of district tournament championships and on Thursday night, and a game that we had here live Thursday night, Clarkton and Risco, and what an atmosphere and what a game that was. And Clarkton come away with that victory, 82-73. And very impressive victory for the Reindeer.
Going to a basketball game at any time in Risco is a neat experience. They have that historic gym that, just like stepping onto the set of Hoosiers. It's just really a neat environment. But when Clarkton comes to town, I mean, that's such a big rivalry anyway. And then you throw in it's a district championship. It's a rubber match. They've split their first 2 games. And it was really a great, even watching from television, you could really see and just feel the atmosphere of that game. Good ball game too.
Certainly, and it was a close game throughout. Clarkton really picked it up at the end of the third and the start of the fourth quarter, and really put the pressure on Risco to score. And they went on a run, about 8-0 run. It seemed like there in the fourth quarter, and Risco just couldn't answer quite in time to really stifle that run.
Well, it looked to me like at one point in the third quarter, Risco was going to blow that game open because they seized about an 8-point lead. And then I think it was, I forget who it was from Clarkton, just sort of stepped up and buried a 3, sort of stopped the bleeding. And then Clarkton just took over from there and just really put it on them. And then come up with about a 9-point victory was the final margin. Again, they were good from the free throw line, and that really hurt Risco in that game. They were not good from the free throw line, and that really hurt them. And, of course, having one of their key players, their threesome this year has been Pavy and Bixler and Josh Earnhardt. Earnhardt was in foul trouble most of the game and didn't even score as a result. That hurt Risco as well. But Clarkton just flat out played them. There was, about a 20-second burst there where they had like a 3-point lead that ballooned into a 10-point lead, and then it just sort of mushroomed on Risco from there. Yeah,
Clarkton really got after it defensively.
They did.
Forced some turnovers, got some easy, quick baskets off those turnovers, and I thought Dylan White, the game he had in that contest,
yes,
forcing those turnovers, getting out in transition and scoring. I think he was probably the player of the game when it comes to turning turnovers into points, and that's what you want.
He had a big game offensively. I think he had 24 points. But defensively, like you say, he was right there as well. There was one point there late in the game where, again, looked like Risco was going to make a little bit of a run, and then there was a loose ball, and he just sort of dived on it, called a quick timeout, and then you kind of knew, well, that's just kind of it. That was Risco's last hurrah, and it proved to be that. But Risco's had a great season. I think a lot of people thought they were really going to take a step back this year with the talent they lost to graduation, but they had a great season. And Coach Blankenship always has those boys ready to play. And
they were going for their 5th straight district championship, and it's going to come to an end at some point. But when you can win 4 and lose your 5th, the chance at your 5th, you've had a good run.
No doubt about it. And Risco's not out of ammunition by any means. They've got they had an impressive freshman that played well for them. And then Cody Young, I think, will be back as well, if memory serves. I think he's just a junior. So they've got some talent coming back. But, of course, so does Clarkton. So they're going to be battling it out, as they usually do there in that Tri-County and District 1 for a long time.
Yeah, and that was, I think I have it right, that was Risco's 6th straight district championship game. So they've had quite a run. A lot to be proud of there, Risco, with the run they've had and the kids that have been through there.
Then bookending Risco's run there has been Clarkton. Those are the 2 teams that have dominated that district. Delta C7 is going to be an interesting team to watch next year. They very quietly put together about a 14-win season and gave Risco a pretty good game in the semifinals of that district tournament. So they're a team to watch in the Tri-County. Gideon's got some good players coming up as well.
Yeah. So Clarkton moves on out to the Class 1 sectionals as they'll take on Scott County Central, who pulled out a very narrow victory over Leopold. And I didn't get the lowdown on this game. Did you have anything to add about that game up there, Scott County Leopold?
It was a 2-point victory, and Scott Central had to come from behind to get that. I think the kid that really stepped up there at the end of the game, well, of course, Larandis Banks scored almost 40 points in that game. He really put them on their shoulder. But the other Braves player that really stepped up at the end of the game was Jeffrey Porter. He hadn't scored at all in the game until right toward the end, and he put a run there together where he scored 8 points, including some big free throws. But Leopold, from what I understand, just about pulled that thing out at the buzzer.
Wow.
They got a 3-pointer off. They were down by 2, and even Coach Staples in the post-game interview said it looked good, said he was sweating it, and it hit the rim and bounced off. So Leopold gave them everything they could handle. And Clarkton's going to give them a good game, too. That's a good Clarkton team. We talked about South Pemiscot being balanced, and Clarkton brings that to the table, too. White obviously is going to command a lot of attention, but they've got a lot of other players that can step up and score as well. So that's going to be a good ball game at Bloomfield on Tuesday night. I don't think Scott Central will run away with it by any means.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of people out there are probably expecting Scott County to just walk over Clarkton, and I'd give you one game to remember, which if you're an avid basketball fan out there in southeast Missouri, you'll remember the 2003 Clarkton Reindeer upset the top-ranked, state-ranked Bell City Cubs. In 2003, that ever-talented group, you think about Dominatrix Johnson, golly, it's so far, I can't remember. There's 2 or 3 other players, just all-out players. I know if Coach David Heaves out there watching, he's just shaking his head because he was coaching that 2003 Bell City Cubs team that got upset by the Clarkton Reindeer.
David is the principal at Clarkton now.
Yeah, he sure is. So he's on the other side.
He's on the other side of it now. Yeah. Right. So after that great run he had with Bell City. So that's going to be a good ball game. Clarkton will give Scott Central all they can handle, especially if Larandis Banks happens to have an off night. Anything can happen there.
Certainly can.
That's a good Clarkton ball team. They're very scrappy. They're going to play hard.
One thing about this team, those teams really going to have a big height advantage in this game. Either team doesn't really have a lot of height.
Yeah, Scott Central's got one of the Blissets in there about 6'1", but yeah, other than that, there's going to be no height advantage. I really don't think Scott Central will have that much of a quickness advantage. Clarkton likes to play that pressing game just like Scott Central does. So 2 very similar teams, and that's going to be a good ball game.
Yeah, and Larandis Banks is the top talent that'll be in this game, and
no doubt.
He's one of the best pure guards in the area.
No doubt.
They'll need a big game from him, and he's a big game player.
That's right.
I don't think there's been a better big game player than Lorantis Banks over the past handful of years. You can go back to his sophomore year in the state championship. He played like a all-state senior.
No doubt.
The way the game he
Lorantis
played a couple
has had
years
a
ago.
great season at Scott County Central. I know he wants to go out on top, but he's going to have some help from this point out. It can't just all be Lorantis. The competition's going to get tougher. And so they're going to need some production out of Porter, out of Owens, out of Daniel, out of the Blissets. They're all going to have to step up and contribute and help Lorantis out. Because Clarkton, again, very balanced team. They're going to get scoring from White, and they can shoot the three, as Risco discovered the other night. Good free throw shooting team. So I look forward to watching that game. That's going to be a good one.
Yeah, we're going to bring that one live to you this coming Tuesday night at Bloomfield. It'll be live from Bloomfield as Scott County takes on Clarkton. We're going to bring that one live to you 7:45 Tuesday evening from Bloomfield. It'll be a great one to watch. We'll be looking forward to it. And staying in Class 1, Travis had a really interesting development down the bracket. South Iron, the top-ranked team in Class 1, took a loss to the defending state champion, Eminence Red Wings, and that was a District 3 or 4.
District 3.
District 3 tournament championship, and Eminence looking to defend that crown, knocked off the top state-ranked Class 1 team in South Iron.
Yeah, bless their heart, South Iron seems like this is about the third season in a row where they'll be top 10, number 1, as they were number 1 all year long in the polls in Class 1, and then they get to this district championship game and Eminence beats them every time. I think this is about the third year in a row Eminence has beaten them, and they come in number 1, top seed, and they just cannot get over that hump.
And they're a very good team.
And not to take anything away from Eminence, it's not like there's some scrub team out there, the defending Class 1 state champions. So they're an outstanding program. But everybody comes in every year thinking, oh, look, can't wait to see Scott Central play South Iron. And it just hadn't happened for whatever reason. I don't know what it is.
They're like the high school equivalent of the Buffalo Bills almost.
Yes.
And it was just a few weeks ago, South Iron really put a number on Bemie.
Yes.
Defeated them over 20 points. So it's not as if they're overrated.
No, they've beaten Eminence earlier in the year. I think twice they've beaten Eminence. And they've beaten Farmington. So, I mean, it's a good ball team.
Now, they played
beat
Poplar
Clearwater.
Bluff. They played Poplar Bluff right down to the wire, I believe.
Yes, and they beat Clearwater, who's going to play Charleston again in the Class 3 sectional district champion again. So that's a good ball team. It's just a bit of a head scratcher. I mean, Eminence is a good program.
Yeah. Eminence had a really good team last year.
They did.
They defeated Scott County on their road to I'd tell you, that state championship game last year. Eminence defeated, help me out here.
I don't remember either.
Team that
they weren't expected to beat them.
Anyways, the team that Eminence beat in the state championship last year played Scott County the year before in the championship game. Lost to Scott County, but they had everybody coming back, and they were expected to go all the way and win it.
Yes,
and
they were big favorites over Eminence.
They had a dominant season. I think they only had one loss, maybe went out the championship game. Were up by about 5-6 points with under a minute. And Eminence had one of the best late second comebacks I've ever seen, and it was a three-pointer on the left wing. They were down 2, went for the win, and there was a defender coming across, running at the shooter from his side, not from the front. He went by and checked the shot awfully well and had to force Eminence player to double clutch, put up a shot, a leaner, and it went in to win the game. And it was one of the best finishes I've seen. Especially for a state tournament game, let alone a state championship game. And Eminence had a great run, and including that last second rally for that state championship. And it looks like they're just carrying that magic on to this year. They had some kids coming back. They lost 2 or 3 starters, but they had 2 or 3 kids that were going to come back and be a big part of this season's team. It looks like they're continuing. They move on to the sectional round, so it might end up being, Scott County Eminence rematch perhaps if things develop that way. And Scott County will be hungry to get that win, but still yet they got a game to play with Clarkton. But that was an interesting development there with South Iron and Eminence.
Yes, of course, anytime the number 1 team in any class goes down, that's big news, and it certainly opens the bracket up. So Eminence and Scott County Central very likely looking at a quarterfinal rematch.
Yeah, we'll see. Now, it's going to be some exciting games this week. And moving up to, let's see, Class 3, we had Charleston defeat Crothersville Thursday night, 71-65, and a much closer game than their game earlier in the year. I think Charleston got them by about 18 earlier in the year. It was on Charleston's home court, but on the neutral court over Malden, pretty good game down to the end.
Yeah, the Crothersville really came to play. They had a nail-biter with New Madrid County Central in the semifinals. That New Madrid had a chance, I think, to tie that game at the end, and the shot just didn't fall. But they certainly gave Charleston everything they could handle. You know, Charleston came into the sort of limping into the districts. They dropped 2 in a row. Their last 2 regular season games, including a beatdown at Poplar Bluff. The Mules just hammered them. And, of course, Dale Bogan was the season low, 10 points for him in that game. So I think that kind of gave New Madrid and Crothersville some confidence. If they could get there, they could play with them, maybe beat them. But, of course, Charleston just does what Charleston does come district time, and they just really found that extra gear and pulled it out. Yeah, and Dale Bogan was just lights out in that district championship game. I forget how many he had. It was close to 40 points.
He had 32, I believe. Yeah. 32 points. And
they did a good job.
From what I've said, they said he had a quiet 32. They limited him even though he had 32. They kept him from just taking it over. His points are really spread out, and he didn't just really get on a roll. But they limited it about as much as they could, keeping him at 32. And
I think, of course, Charleston's a great defensive team, and they did a great job holding Crothersville's great athlete, Darryl Monroe. I think he only scored maybe 12 points or 13 points in the game. So they really did a good job locking him down. You know, when Charleston was on that great, 10-game run where they just surprised everybody, including that big win over Jackson, Dale's going to get his, but they were getting contributions from other ball players. Shandor Webster was stepping up, Mike Kellums, and Dale's brother, Robert. They were all scoring in double figures. They'd get 10, 11, 12 points a game to go along with Dale's 20, 30, 40 points. And then those 2 games they lost, they just sort of fell off. And those kids weren't contributing. But then come district time, they've stepped up, and Charleston has another district banner. Of course, they don't even hang those in the Jays' nest because they've got too many state titles over there to worry with district championships. But they've got a Clearwater team coming up. That's a rematch from last year that's put together pretty quietly a 21-3 season. So they can play ball over there at Clearwater. They gave Charleston a pretty good half, as memory serves, last year before Charleston really opened it up and ran away with the game in the second half. So that'll be a good ball game. Clearwater will be hungry to prove they belong, that they're not just a flash in the pan. They've got a good ball player over there, a kid named Austin Ayers, who's a senior, who can really light it up and score a lot of points for them. So I look forward to that being a competitive game. Charleston certainly be the favorite, but as we've seen, sometimes Charleston just has they'll in the middle of a game, or they'll just have a letdown. They'll just go flat, and you just can't have that at this time of year. If that happens against Clearwater, then it'll be Clearwater moving on. Charleston going to baseball.
Yeah, we'll see, and we'll carry that game live Wednesday night at 7:45 from the Dexter Bearcat Event Center. We'll have Clearwater and Charleston live here this coming Wednesday evening for that Class 3 sectional. So looking forward to that one as well. And before we move on to the Class 4 and 5s, we just preview those real quick. Forgot about Advance defeating Oran back in Class 2. So Advance pulls out a nice victory over Oran. Oran was top seed in that.
That's
that
right.
District up there.
Advance was actually the 3 seed, but they got they beat Chaffee in the semifinals, and then they had to feel confident going in playing Oran because they'd played 3 times, I think, going into that, or twice early in the season. Oran just hammered Advance, beat them by like 30 points. Lane Ballou only scored like 5 points in that game. And then they played the second time. It was just the complete opposite. It was Advance who put a hurting on Oran, and Ballou scored nearly 50 points in that game. Just really went off. So they had to feel confident going in. And of course, Lane had another huge game. He scored 40 points again against Oran, and they're just really on. Advance is really on a roll right now, and Advance has been kind of like Charleston. You know, early in the season they went as Lane Ballou went. He had a good game, they won. He had a bad game, they lost. But they've had other kids stepping up, kind of like Charleston has had other kids stepping up and scoring 10 points, 12 points, kind of helping Lane out on the scoring end. So when you get that, when you get a little more balanced scoring, they're going to be a dangerous team. They got to play New Haven in the sectional round. New Haven was the 2 seed in District 4, so they upset Ellsbury, the top seed, to win that district championship. I don't know a lot about New Haven, but we do know Advance is playing very, very well.
New Haven's got one of the best coaches in the state, I can tell you that. I can't remember his name, but very good coach, over 500 wins. If he's still coaching, this is just a few years ago that come across him, but certainly one of the best coach teams in the state you'll have in New Haven. So it'll be a tough test there going up against them in that sectional. So I just wanted to drop that in there. I know that was a big game for Advance to win over Oran. So Advance Hornets moving on to the sectionals. And moving up to Class 4, Caleb, if we can get these Class 4 bracket queued up, Class 4 and 5. Class 4 is coming up starting today, and it's a very competitive district. This should be boys Class 4 District 1, Saxony with the top seed, Notre Dame with the 2 seed, and Cape Central right there going to be in the mix as well with the 3 seed. And I tell you, this Kennett-Dexter game might be a game, especially with Cavante Mitchell out for the year with a broken hand, and that could be a very good game there in that first round, that 4-5 game.
Right. Cavante's last game was actually against Dexter, and with a broken hand, he still scored 30 points. I think had a double-double, points and rebounds. But still, Dexter had about a 13-point lead in that game and had a lead about midway through the third quarter before Cavante just went off in the fourth quarter. I think scored 19, 20 points in the fourth quarter alone, and Kennett won by about 15, 16 points. But that'll be a very good game. You're right. Dexter's playing better here the last month of the season. I don't have a lot of wins to show for it, but they have been playing better. They've been much more competitive. So I think Dexter's got a real shot to win that game. Kennett's lost 3 out of 4 without Cavante in the lineup. So, and really that would just be huge for Dexter just to win a district game, because that program's really been down the last couple of seasons. And, they would just like to go, get a district win and give Sykeston your best shot in the semifinals. And Dexter's got a very young team. They've basically been playing a JV team at the varsity level. And so they have improved, and the future is bright for Dexter boys basketball, but it's been a real struggle the last couple of years. Cape Central will almost certainly beat Perryville in the other game up there. Cape Central's the host team. And then they go on to play Notre Dame, and that's real interesting. They seeded this bracket before Cape Central and Notre Dame played last week at the Show Me Center, and Cape won that game. And that'll be a great game in the rematch in the semifinals.
And Sykeston's likely going to advance in that semifinal matchup into the finals. So at the beginning of the year, coming off last year, I thought Cape Central was going to be the favorite coming into this year in that Class 4 district. And they didn't start out so well. They had a tough start. But here in the last half of the season, they've probably been the team that's really catching people's attention with the games that they've played. And they might come out, and it's on their home court too, right. So they're going to have a shot at it.
Yeah, in the last month, especially the last 2 weeks, Cape Central's played like everybody thought they would play the whole year. They beat Charleston in that run. And they've beaten Notre Dame as well. A couple of St. Louis schools they've beaten also. Lutheran South, I know it comes to mind. So yeah, that's going to be a barn burner. Of course, it's such a big rivalry anyway between Cape and Notre Dame. And then with the district championship potentially on the line, matchup with Sykeston. Any one of those top 3 teams could come away with that. Notre Dame and Sykeston have split their 2 games this year so far, and Cape and Sykeston played a tight one. Sykeston beat Cape on their home floor, and I believe that's the last game Cape Central's lost, and they've been on a real run since then. They've won 6 or 7 games in a row. So that's going to be a very competitive district.
And take a look at that district title game. That'll be this Thursday, if it holds up with the weather, don't back it up any. Thursday night at 7:30, we're going to bring that final to you from Cape. That boys Class 4 District 1 final will be live here on YHC and SemoSportsZone.com. Thursday night at 7:30, we'll have that final live for you. And crossing over to the girls real quick, the girls Class 4 District 1 tournament, we got that's the Class 5 boys there. But talking about the girls Class 4 District 1 at Cape Central, it's Dexter with the number 1 seed, Notre Dame with the 2 seed, and basically the tournament's between those two teams.
Yes,
they've
no doubt.
dominated these other teams that are participating. So likely we're looking at a Dexter Notre Dame final at 6 o'clock, and we're going to bring that one live to you Thursday night as well, 6 o'clock. Looking to be Dexter Notre Dame. Yeah, of course, they got to play the games on the court. So,
Right.
widely anticipating Dexter and Notre Dame in that final Thursday night at 6 o'clock, and we'll bring that game live to you right here on YHC and SemoSportsZone.com as well. It should be a great one there.
Both
Travis.
Dexter and Notre Dame ranked in the top 10 in Class 4 girls basketball. Dexter has beaten Notre Dame once this season, just a few weeks ago, but they had to come from behind to do it. Notre Dame had a lead until late in the game, and Dexter put together a run at the end, won the game by about 5 points, if memory serves. So those are two very evenly matched teams. Notre Dame took Dexter to the wire last year before Dexter pulled it out at the end to win the district championship. So that's a big rivalry between those two teams, and that'll be a great basketball game.
Certainly should be. So we'll look forward to that final. 6 o'clock next Thursday evening.
And then interesting, looming on the horizon there in sectionals for the winner of that game is Park Hill Central. And the Lady Rebels have lost one game all year, and that was to Dexter.
Yeah.
And Dexter beat them here in Dexter. And that was a good ball game, though. Park Hills gave the Lady Bearcats a test. They haven't played Notre Dame, so we don't know how those two schools would potentially match up. But the Lady Rebels, good ball team, and they're gonna give the winner of this game a good test in sectionals.
Certainly. So we'll be looking forward to that. We're going to carry that game live at District Final for the girls Thursday at 6 o'clock. And take a look at that boys Class 5 District 1, Jackson and Poplar Bluff in the mix there from Southeast Missouri. And Jackson in a pretty good place there is the number 1 seed in that tournament. And they'll take on the winner of Fox and Seckman. And Poplar Bluff will take on Oakville in the semifinals. So Jackson, really good season. Got a chance to pull off another district championship this year.
Well, I think most basketball observers feel like this is Jackson's district to lose. Don't know a whole lot about Oakville, the number 2 seed, but they've beaten Poplar Bluff twice already. Poplar Bluff gave Jackson a pretty good game in the SEMO Conference tournament early in the season, but then Jackson went to Poplar Bluff and just sort of put it on them in the rematch. But Poplar Bluff's been playing much better of late. You know, Poplar Bluff's had kind of a Jekyll and Hyde season. They started off the season really strong, and then they went through a stretch there where they just seemed like they couldn't win a game at all. And they dipped several games under 500, but then at the end of the season here, they've put it all back together, and they've gone on a little run here, including, as we mentioned earlier, a thumping of Charleston in the regular season finale. So that's a dangerous ball team there in Poplar Bluff. They've got a couple of real good ball players. Stacy Gibson, about 6'6", 6'7" there in the middle,
Yeah.
very strong around the basket. Chris Stocks on the outside as well, can light it up. So they've got a real good inside-outside presence, and they're playing. They seem to be playing their best basketball right now. So Poplar Bluff, a real sleeper team in there.
Yeah, and that is quite a ways. Seckman, that's in South St. Louis, up there. Quite a, especially Poplar Bluff. They've got the longest
Oh boy,
one.
that's a long haul.
Probably what
for them
across.
to go up.
I don't know if they would go up 67 across. I'm not
I bet they
exactly
would.
sure, but
Yeah, that's probably the way they would go.
That's a long haul all the way up to South St. Louis to Seckman. So, right, I think that's right around the Arnold area, I believe, the Seckman, if I have that right.
I believe that's right, yes.
So we'll be looking forward to that Class 5. Jackson's defending Class 5 district champions.
You know, the thing
District
about
1.
Jackson is they are, again, we talked about it the whole show long, they are so balanced.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks first about Carson King when you think of Dexter or Jackson basketball, and certainly he's probably their most talented player. But you can't just key on Carson because they've got big Brandon Luter, 6'9", standing there in the middle. The Reynolds kid, Josh Downey, the point guard, is a scoring threat. Wendell, they're just so tall. I mean, their guards are 6'3". So they've got, and they don't just lumber up and down the court either. They've got speed. So this is a very balanced Jackson team, and when they have it hitting on all cylinders, they're just very, very hard to beat. Charleston's the only SEMO team that's beaten them. Otherwise, it's been out of state and St. Louis schools. I think Webster Groves has beaten them earlier in the season, but they are just very, very talented. They're just so solid all the way around. Coach Darren Scott has got a great program up there, and Jackson is a real threat to make a real deep playoff run. They surprised some people last year. Remember, they knocked Chaminade off in, I believe, the sectional round. And Chaminade's up there ranked in the top 2 or 3 in Class 5 again this year. So it's, Jackson's, I know they're excited about their basketball team up there, and with good reason.
Yeah. And take a look at the Class 5 girls quickly, as Jackson and Poplar Bluff participating in that district as well at Seckman. Jackson will have the 2 seed taking on Poplar Bluff, the 3 seed, so Southeast Missouri matchup there in the semifinals. Fox, the top seed, taking on the winner of Oakville and Seckman. So either Jackson, Poplar Bluff going to be in that district championship.
If memory serves, Jackson beat Poplar Bluff when they played earlier in the year in that girls' game. But 2 very evenly matched teams. Despite my Dexter bias, I'll have to be pulling for the Lady Mules there a little bit. Tyler, my cousin, Kirk Chronister, is the longtime coach over there at Poplar Bluff, and he's just a coaching legend here in the state of Missouri. Has well over 700 wins now in his illustrious career there with the Poplar Bluff Lady Mules. So good luck, Kirk, and the Poplar Bluff Lady Mules, but Jackson will give them all they can handle. That's a good squad there. We saw him give Dexter a pretty good game for a half.
Yeah.
And then the Lady Bearcats really turned it on in the second half and cruised to an easy win. But that's a scrappy team, and they've got some girls that can play ball.
Sure. And we look forward to that final there, or that tournament there, wrapping up with Class 5 District 1. And that's pretty much a look at where everything stands right now. We'll be bringing many of these games live to you over the next few weeks in district and state tournament play. We've got games this coming Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Tuesday night, boys Class 1 sectionals, Scott County Central versus Clarkton, 7:45 start. Bring that one live to you from Bloomfield. Wednesday night, the Class 3 sectional at Dexter at 7:45, Charleston versus Clearwater. We'll bring that one live to you Wednesday night. And Thursday night will be the Class 4 District 1 boys and girls finals starting at 6 o'clock Thursday from Cape Central. The girls game at 6, 7:30 following that game is the boys final at Cape Central in that Class 1 District 1 final. So 4 total games, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We got games for you live here on YHC and CMOSportZone.com. So be looking forward to these games, Travis. It's going to be very exciting going the rest of the way.
Right. College-wise, SEMO's got a big game at home tonight they got Murray State coming to town. And SEMO looks like maybe they finally figured it out.
Really?
They've won about 6 of 7 here or something like that, 5 of 6, after a lot of high expectations for the Red Hawks. And boy, they got into Ohio Valley Conference play and just seemed lost there for a while. But maybe they figured it out here, and they finally qualified for the tournament and the Ohio Valley Conference tournament. And boy, they'd sure like to get a win over their arch rival here, Murray State, to close the regular season out. So good luck, Red Hawks.
Good luck, Red Hawks, certainly. Big hopes coming into this season. Just it's been a little
it's
up and down season for them.
Sure has.
Yeah, and Three Rivers Raiders, their season's overhead a little. Had a stronger season last year, but still not good enough to advance on to that national.
They lost up at Mineral Area College,
yeah.
Didn't they not? Yeah. So Coach Bess always has a good program, and there's a couple of Southeast Missouri kids on that roster. Brian Patterson out of Donovan. Jamie Massey out of Holcomb. So so they'll be back. Three Rivers is always in the mix.
Yeah, they're always in the mix. So that'll pretty much wrap up everything we've got for today, and we appreciate Travis coming in today and talking with us, and we'll be looking
always
forward
a
to
pleasure.
Seeing how everything develops going forward. Appreciate Trevor Waldner, Dexter Wrestler State Champion, coming in today, along with Dexter Wrestling Coach James Sneed. And we appreciate you for tuning in as always. Look forward to having you back with us next week to recap all the games that come up this week. And we'll look forward to another show for you having you back. And until then, I'm Tyler Wagner along with Travis Quertermous. Caleb Johns, our director in the studio or in the control room there. And we'll see you next week. Take care.